All right, let's get right into it. In neighborhoods all across the country, maybe even one that looks a lot like yours, there's a really dark industry that's, well, it's operating right in plain sight. We're talking about a form of human trafficking, but it's not what you probably think. This isn't about labor or sex. It's about stealing Social Security checks, and it preys on the very people our society is supposed to be protecting the most.
So how does this all begin? Well, it often kicks off with a 911 call, an elderly resident in distress. But when first responders get there and push open the door of what looks like just a totally normal house, what they find inside it's a recurring nightmare, something totally hidden from the public eye. And believe me, state records they're filled with these absolutely grim discoveries. I mean, look at this report. And this is just one example. In another case, a 74-year-old man who'd been missing for 4 days, he was found covered in maggots right outside one of these suspected unlicensed homes. It's just horrific.
And you have to understand, these are not just isolated incidents of neglect. No way. This is evidence. It's evidence of a widespread, hidden crime. So what exactly is it? What do we even call this?
Well, this whole pattern, this systematic neglect and exploitation, it actually has a name. And it's a name that I'm willing to bet very few of you have ever heard before.
Okay, this definition right here is absolutely crucial. Why? Because it completely reframes how we should be thinking about elder abuse. See, we're not just talking about simple neglect. This is a calculated business model. It's a form of human trafficking that is centered 100% on financial gain.
So yeah, the motive here, it's purely financial. Traffickers are going after all of these things: Social Security, VA benefits, even stimulus checks. The very monthly checks that are supposed to be a safety net for vulnerable people. And what they do is they seize total control of these funds and they leave their victims with absolutely nothing. So the big question is, how does this scheme actually work? I mean, how do they pull it off? Well, investigators have uncovered what they call a playbook. And it's chillingly effective. It's a 5-step process that's literally designed to make the victims completely invisible.
And when you look at these steps, you realize just how incredibly calculated this all is. First, you have the recruitment. Then comes the classic bait and switch with a fake nice home. Then they're warehoused in these awful hidden places. The isolation, the constant movement from place to place, it's all designed for one purpose: to isolate the victims and evade any kind of oversight. It actually becomes this twisted marketplace. I mean, some reports even suggest that traffickers will sell residents to other operators who think they can get a bigger monthly benefit out of them. It's just unbelievable.
And look, in its most extreme forms, this gets even darker. Take the infamous Linda Weston case out of Pennsylvania. We're talking benefits trafficking that escalated to forced labor, sexual servitude, and even murder. She was sentenced to life in prison for holding disabled adults captive for years, and it was all just to steal their Social Security checks.
But here's the thing. It's really important to understand that this isn't just the work of a few evil individuals. It's bigger than that. It's a shadow industry, and it's thriving in the cracks of our social and healthcare systems. And those cracks, they're getting wider because of the affordable housing crisis and a fractured mental health system that just leaves vulnerable people with nowhere else to turn.
23. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's how many states have officially identified benefits trafficking happening inside their borders. And listen, that's just the states that have actually recognized it and put a name to it. This is, without a doubt, a national crisis, and it's quietly spreading all across the country.
And a huge part of the problem, it comes down to simple economics. Look at the numbers. A legitimate licensed facility can cost around $4,000 a month. Traffickers, on the other hand, they lure people in by charging, maybe $600 to $1,000, a price that, what a coincidence, perfectly matches their monthly benefit check. This dangerous, illegal market only exists because there is such a desperate lack of safe, affordable care options for our aging population.
Let's take Maryland as a perfect case study. In 2023, the state passed a new law making it a felony to operate one of these unlicensed homes. Sounds good, right? Well, since that law passed, hundreds of complaints have been filed, and the number of prosecutions? 0. Not a single one. So you've got laws on the books, but they just aren't being enforced.
And it's not like nobody saw this coming. It's not for a lack of warning. Legal experts have been sounding the alarm on this for years. They've gone to lawmakers and told them explicitly that these unlicensed homes are hubs for human trafficking. So the knowledge is there, the warnings have been made, but the action, it's just not happening.
Okay, so all of this, it naturally raises a really critical question. What can we actually do about it? Right? How do we even begin to seal up these cracks in the system that allow this whole horrible industry to flourish in the first place?
Well, according to the experts, there's no single silver bullet here. The only way forward is a multi-pronged approach. We're talking about mandating better training for hospital social workers so they can vet these places. It means creating actual coordinated task forces so that adult protective services, law enforcement, and health regulators are finally talking to each other. And maybe most crucially, it means investing a lot more money in safe, affordable housing and mental health services so we can stop people from becoming so vulnerable to begin with.
And really, this quote from attorney E.J. Hammond just gets right to the heart of the crisis. What we have is a quiet generation slowly slipping away, and nobody's noticing. It's an epidemic of abuse happening in silence, affecting people who often can't speak for themselves, hidden away in plain sight. So, with this information, we've basically opened the door on this hidden, awful world. The question now becomes, what happens next? Who's going to have the courage to actually step through that door and demand real accountability? Because for the thousands of victims out there right now, just being aware of the problem, well, that's just not enough.